From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sportsville. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe, and we are back in action talking some world football. Now, last week on the show, it was all about the matchup between Manchester City and Chelsea. We all understood the magnitude this game was going to have on the champion race in the English Premier League, and it came away as we predicted on the show. Thought it would be a 1-1 draw. It was. Manuel Pellegrini, I thought I was just dumbfounded when he took out Sergio Aguero. I mean, you think about anybody who has meant more to Manchester City this year than Sergio Aguero, and you'd be hard-pressed to find someone. I mean, he's come up with so many big goals when you need it, and they've needed him to play hero ball so many times, and he's delivered in so many spots. Taking him off when there was still a pretty good amount of time left really didn't make much sense to me. But Chelsea and Manchester City, it was a draw, 1-1, so Manchester City is down by 5 points. Chelsea has a 5-point lead in the league right now, and that is actually a lot. Now, of course, it's not the most unsurmountable lead that you could have, but it's pretty firm because we've seen many times so far this season, Chelsea doesn't have a lot of big disappointments. I mean, they had one a couple weeks ago during the winter break where they just got shelled. But for the most part, Chelsea doesn't have a lot of disappointing games. They usually come out and they're really very reliable. Manchester City, on the other hand, has had a lot of bad stretches during this season. They've had some really tough losses. They've had some really disappointing draws, especially to the one earlier in the season, Stoke City, which still is some of those losses that they had early in the season are really going to come back to hurt them. But this weekend, we will see how they do. Aston Villa plays Chelsea. Chelsea should get a good win there. And Manchester City against Hull City. Again, one of the teams facing relegation, one of the lower teams in the league. Manchester City should come away with a win there. But the big thing for City is what will happen when you get Wilfried Bony and Yaya Toure back. Now, they will be playing in the African Cup of Nations final this Sunday, which will be a lot of fun. Ivory Coast against Ghana. And just a little talk on Ivory Coast. I think they will win the African Nations Cup. You can't find a better group of attacking midfielders than they have. I mean, Yaya Toure, Wilfried Bony, and Gervinho. You really can't account for all three of these guys. They're just so good with the ball, so good at making plays, and they're lethal. I mean, they could score from anywhere. I think that those three guys are terrific. And Manchester City is lucky because they have two of these guys on their team, and they're two guys that they desperately need. I think when they get them back will be huge. I mean, you could just see how big of a loss it has been missing Yaya Toure. Now you will get him back. You will get Wilfried Bony back. You have Sergio Aguero back and healthy. Vincent Kompany is getting healthier. You could definitely see he struggled a little bit in his transition back. Hasn't looked 100% right. He really hasn't. But now that the pieces for City are all starting to come together, you're going to get Yaya Toure and Wilfried Bony back, like I just said. Things should get closer. Now, Chelsea, on the other hand, does have Diego Costa, who will be out another 2 games after his ban. So I still think that they'll be okay without him because especially Manchester City, I mean, let's be honest, it really is a two-way race. That's the only way it really is going to be. I mean, Manchester United has made a little bit of a comeback. Some of the other teams in the league are making it a little bit interesting, but for the most part, this is a two-way race between these two clubs. One of them is going to win the title. I still think it's Chelsea. I don't think they're going to ever have a drop-off at any point. Manchester City, I mean, this is it. You got the draw that kind of saved your season, your Premier League title hopes are still alive. You've got to find a way to come away with a win this weekend. You've got to continue to win, and it's going to be very exciting because we see both these teams have very, very big UEFA Champions League matchups coming up later in February. Manchester City will be playing Barcelona, and that will be an excellent matchup. I was talking to a good friend the other day, Joe D, huge soccer guy. I go to him when I need to know a lot of stuff because I am still new. I am still learning a lot of things about the sport. So when I need a go-to guy to find out something, he's my guy. And we were talking, if you were trying to get somebody to like soccer, somebody who really had no interest, what game would you show them and make them watch to kind of sell them on it? And I think we both kind of agreed mutually, if you're interested and you kind of want to get into this, there's no better place to start than Barcelona, Manchester City. That's going to be such a good game. I mean, star power all over the place. Leo Messi, Neymar, Suarez. Manchester City will have all their guys back. Sergio Aguero will be healthy. Yaya Toure will be there. Wilfred Bonny. I mean, star power all over the place. Phenomenal clubs, championship caliber clubs. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. Every single game we have, really, for the UEFA Champions League is going to be fantastic when we get to that point. Really looking forward to it. That is going to do it for this segment. Going to be another very big weekend in the English Premier League. I am picking the Ivory Coast to beat Ghana in the African Nations Cup. Like I said before, Gervinho, Wilfred Bonny, and Yaya Toure. Just too much firepower there for me. I think Ivory Coast will take it. But that will do it, and we will be right back.